Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday, June 22nd Board of Selectmen's meeting. It is so nice to see so many faces. I think every chair out there is full except maybe one. So I think I'd like to take credit for it, but I think it might be Mark that the credit is due there. So with that, we're going to start out with citizens input. As I mentioned last meeting, we are still taking it via email. So if anyone wants to send citizens input in via email, if you're not comfortable coming in, you can still do that. However, I believe we have someone here this evening for citizens input, at least one. Anyone else? Just Larry? Okay. All right, great.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, the
pledge.
pledge. Oh, the pledge, sorry. Thank you, Doc. Pledge. Larry, why don't you lead us? Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so back to Larry. If you can sit down, tell us your name and your address.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Larry Wee, 13 Fox Lane. I'm here tonight to ask the board to consider having the town use its collective bargaining power to negotiate trash service for residential homes. Trash service is a basic service people expect, just like good public safety, good schools, and clean water. I did some research and none of the 6 surrounding towns do it the way we do by leaving it to the individual homeowners. For example, Rentham, Walpole, and Mansfield included in the trash bill. Sharon and Plainville, you pay the town or you buy trash stickers or you do a combination of both. Norfolk is the one that's closest to Foxborough. However, you have the option of bringing the trash to the town dump or you can get your own trash service. So, I guess my goal is first goal is to see if the town can negotiate one for residential homes. And then ultimately, the town should also review if we can include trash service as part of the tax bill. This is a service that benefits all homeowners. Thank you for your consideration.
All right, thanks, Larry. And I believe you have some backup, right, that you sent it to me. I don't know if you could send it to Christina to share with the rest of the board, just in case anyone wants to see it, and then we'll have to.
What I have is just the 3 towns that include trash service, how much they spend. I think they include in the DPW, and I'm just guessing. I'm guessing trash is anywhere from, depending on the size of the town, anywhere from 1.2, 1.5 to 2.5 million, maybe a little more now, given the increase in cost. But it is something I know, I should know the budget is tough, so I'm not expecting it to be included now, but it is something that if we can shoot for or strive for 3 to 5 years down the road, maybe we should look at it.
Okay, thanks so much for coming in, Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
could you increase the volume?
Mr. Beck, can you increase the volume in the room?
I think that mic is dead.
Oh, we think we have a dead mic, so no wonder why.
That's why he used it, right?
Sorry, my time's up.
All right, so when we move on to the Cultural Council, which is actually the next item, would you mind just coming to the other microphone, and we'll just test the sound before you begin, if you don't mind.
Sure. All right. I'm Nicole. Can you hear it? No.
No.
I can talk really loud.
We won't hold that against you. Kill the mics for a second.
Okay, thank you.
No, we can take one of these. These are live right here, so.
Okay, I can come next.
Yeah, no, you can't, but that's the best,
Okay,
the best you can play.
can I stand like this?
Sure.
Comfortable?
No,
presenting?
but it's okay. Can you all hear me? All right. So I am the chair of the Foxborough Cultural Council. It is the part of the Mass Cultural Council, which is a state agency, and we give grants out to local entities that are doing arts and sciences throughout the area. Sorry, let me see. I don't want to be at my back to anyone. Can I
Do
sit
you
on
want
this?
to grab a chair?
Well, this has actually got a
Does it have a little bit of cord?
little bit of cord, so.
Got Mr. Beck coming back out.
There you go.
You know, I used to dress up like a fish and sing, so I mean, I can perform if we need. We got the muddy water blues. Yeah. Thanks. What do you think? Is it going to work? Okay, I'll keep rolling with.
Thank you for your flexibility.
So these grants go out to people that are doing arts and sciences and benefiting Foxborough. So in the fall, if you have anything related to arts and sciences, history, culture that you would like to put in a small grant for, look out for the Foxborough Cultural Council grants coming out. It should be around end of September, October. So you'll see postings here. Usually we put them up at the town and around. So one of the grants I actually was able to put in, even if you're on the council, you can put in for grants. And I had applied for monies to create the Foxborough Art and Nature Conservation Passport. During the pandemic, one of the key things I was doing was hiking and doing art. And so we've created this, and we have 9 artists represented. Foxborough Cable Access has helped us. The town, Christina Meck has helped us so much. Jane Pierce, the conservation agent, and the conservation commissioners have all helped me pull this together. So the original grant, and I'm sorry, this is wet. We realized that we've missed one thing on it, so I had to go around and pull them down. So what will happen is you'll go to the site, and you'll use your phone, and you'll go onto this QR code, that black box right here. And you'll put your phone on it, and it'll pop up an opportunity to do a scavenger hunt. And you'll go around and you'll try to explore and find things. And at the end, you'll receive a thank you video from an artist from the local community. And each of the 5 locations, we have 2 at Lane, Chestnut Street, and at the Homestead. So you have A and B. So that we could represent more artists. So that's what you'll get to do if you do the electronic. But then I asked for more funding because a lot of people were like, well, I don't really have a phone that works with the QR code, or I don't really want to be exploring with the electronic version. So we have created these through help from the Partners in Patriotism Fund. And so these are a paper version. And so inside, Allison Keelam and myself and many others pulled this together. Ryan Norton helped us with the maps. So each site has a picture of the location, field notes opportunity, and then the scavenger hunt questions, and then also a map, because we're really trying to build awareness of our conservation areas. Do you know how many conservation acres we have in Foxborough? Raise your hand if you know. Ballpark. Do you think we have 10, 15, 20? 22. We have over 2,000 acres of conservation lands in Foxborough. If we add Gilbert State Forest, we have 2,700. So it's pretty special that we have all these conservation lands and open spaces here. So this is just 5 highlighted areas. So Kersey Point, and so they'll have a map. So each one of these, we even have a partnership with the library. We're going to be showcasing each of those and having a little story scavenger hunt opportunity at each of them this summer. They are posted in many places here on the website, at the library's website, Foxborough Cultural Council. So look for that. If you're looking for something fun to do, you can just do it yourself. You can pick up one of these here at the town or at the library if you'd like to grab one. But you're lucky today. You can have one today if you think you'd like to. I only got 200 printed. That's all the money I was given. So that's what we have. Do I have more time, Christina? Is that it?
That's up to the chairwoman.
Do I have a couple more things?
A couple more minutes, yeah.
Okay, so just wanted to tell you. So because the Foxborough Cultural Council gets these grants, we've been really struggling to see how much money we can get to help artists and science, other things that are going on. So the Mass Cultural Council has actually encouraged us to try to do some fundraising. So another project, and I'm looking for people that aren't just on the council, though we are looking for people, if you're interested, to help out with where do you hang your hat. We're going to get public sculptures. We're going to create these big sculptures. We haven't figured out what exactly, of hats and we're going to hang them up in different places and work with sponsors to sponsor where they are and get artists to paint them, so that we have some kind of a historical connection with being the straw hat capital of the world. So that's the idea. We're hoping to have that all in place by next spring, by Founders Day, like all those kinds of fun times. So if anybody's interested in that, that's another opportunity, because we're really trying to figure out how we can raise more money in our community to help the arts and sciences. So thank you for your time, and I really look forward to all of you maybe asking more about it, or talking to me later. Thank you.
That's good.
So here you go.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'll give you each one.
Okay,
Santa
so-
has one already.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Should have given it to her first. So you can see that. You'd like one? Oh, good. I'm so excited. I'm kind of doing one for family and like explore and enjoy. It's a work of art in of itself. I'm so excited how it turned out.
And I know the kids are out of school, so there's a lot of parents looking for stuff to do, so this seems like a great activity.
Yeah, I'll tell you today, there was a family with 4 kids, and they had a baby, like toddler, and a 10-year-old, and they all had fun doing it. And the mom said, "Thank you so much. I never get activities that are for the whole range of kids." And the older kid, the 10-year-old, was like, "When are we doing the next one?" So
Oh, that's
that was
awesome.
an exciting, like, anecdote, right, for us to do.
All right, thank you. While she's passing those out,
Well, hey, I got more. So I signed some of them with my, because I did some of the artworks here.
all right, we're going to move on to the next item. Can you guys all hear our microphones okay? Yeah? Okay. All right, so Mark, you're not next. We got one more before you. But you might just have to swing over there if you don't mind. And I don't know if it's more comfortable behind the table or not. But anyway, we have 5 more minutes for, maybe we'll get these mics back up and running. So with that, Bill, do you want to do the next item, the National Grid petition for conduit location?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You're up.
All right, so we have before you tonight is a petition that was heard earlier today for a pole location located down on
29 Wall Street.
29
Wall Street.
Wall Street. Thank you. So if you recall, that location is near the new development that's being proposed for that area off of Wall Street down next to the post office. So that pole was requested by the developer, and so now we're looking to locate it there. And the hearing was held, and there were no individuals that came. So we have a recommendation from the town engineer to have the board approve this request tonight.
All right, great. And did anyone here that maybe didn't make it to the public hearing? I think you're all here for Mark, but just checking. Okay, all right. So with that, I don't think there's really too much discussion. Anything, guys? This is pretty standard. So I think we're ready for a motion. Seth, if you're ready.
Yep. Motion to approve installation of utility pole at 29 Wall Street by National Grid as proposed.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right, great. Now Mark's up. All right, so we're here to talk about the Senior Intergenerational Community Center feasibility study results and presentation.
No, I'm good, thank you so much. Backup technology, because sometimes technology does not work when
Yes.
we want it to.
Works.
Hey, look at that.
How's that? So you want to kill the lights, or you want to? Yeah, it's hard to see. Hard to see. Well,
I'll get the lights.
they're right there. Yeah, right there.
I'll get
So,
There we go.
oh, yeah, it still is a little not great. Better color choices next time. Got it. Noted.
Okay, dim them, is that
Oh,
better?
yeah,
That's
dim- yeah, that's good.
So for those who are watching at home who don't know who I am, my name is Mark Craig. I'm the Director of Human Services for the town of Foxborough. I am here to talk about something that there's clearly some very eager beavers here to listen to, a senior/community center feasibility study. So the real question is how did we get here? Oh, that font does not look good. Okay, so a long time ago, pre-pandemic, we had the Council on Aging Human Services Advisory Board started a petition at the Foxborough Senior Center to have the conversation around a new facility. That was then brought to Selectmen's meeting, which then resulted in the November 2019 town meeting, $40,000 allocation for a feasibility study. After that, an RFP was created, and we solicited proposals. A small group gathered to review proposals, and Bartlett Henry archetypes were selected. And two members of Bartlett Henry staff are joining us through Zoom, Rachel and Dan as well. So they're here for more of the technical related questions. And I see Mr. Haydecker in the front row. So the technical related questions go right to Bartlett Henry. We also then had conversations with the Recreation Department, the Board of Rec, Veteran Services, the Friends of Foxborough Seniors, and the Council on Aging Human Services Advisory Board. So, yikes. So what is a feasibility study? Hopefully by the end of this presentation, 4 questions are answered. 1, is a new facility needed or are current facilities adequate? 2, if a new facility is needed, where would it be located? And 3, what will a new facility look like? And 4, how much will it cost? So the first question hopefully can answer is a new facility needed? You all know the senior center that was built 22 years ago. It's a fine facility. We have been using it for the last 22 years with great success. Over the last few years though, pre-pandemic numbers were increasing to a rate that were unsustainable in the current facility. We were averaging well over 120 people a day. Parking lot is full. And even with the pandemic, you can say we obviously dropped off. We were closed for 3 months. But we're getting back to it. I mean, we're reaching our highest days from 2018, 2019 already. There are times, multiple times, that I'll go out and grab lunch or grab a tea or something and come back and the parking lot is full. So I have to park across the street. No big deal, not a big deal for me. For some of the seniors, that becomes a challenge crossing a main road. Then additionally, if we're talking about a full senior/intergenerational community center, what other offices around town? So this is, took this picture today of the Foxborough Rec Department. Probably not a lot of people go there. If you have been there, you know it's, and I'm trying to be polite, inadequate. I mean, it truly is. It's essentially a garage with no air conditioning, some cords hanging around and ventilation, and I can only imagine what that feels like when it's 0 degrees out in December. And obviously it's being used for summer camp right now. So this is where we bring in Bartlett Henry. So they prepared a lot of the great concept designs that you'll see throughout this presentation. Bartlett Henry is a 50-person architecture firm located in Boston. Over the last 10 years, they've completed 25 senior centers, 30 community centers, most notably including the Situate Senior Center, the Falmouth Senior Center, the Randolph Intergenerational Community Center, and the Vine Street Community Center. And again, Foxborough's Bartlett Henry design team includes Joel Bargman, Dan Chen, and Rachel Young, who are joining us tonight. So conducting a feasibility study normally is an incredibly collaborative process. You get dozens and dozens of people in a room around these great designs. People draw out what they want. It really is a real collaborative process that takes a few months, but something that was not conducive to a pandemic when we were told not to be in the same room with one another. So what did we do instead? So we sent out a community survey last November. We got 735 responses. 92% of those responses are Foxborough residents. And of those responses, 65% of seniors supported a intergenerational / multi-service center. And overall, 64% of the survey's participants were over the age of 65, was obviously the remaining 36% were not seniors. We had a lot of young parents, The recreation department was able to send it out there with email blast. And actually, you have copies in your board docs of the entire 85 pages of the survey results. And a lot of the next few slides were developed solely from this survey. And this was conducted by Ballard King. So,
Excuse me, Mark?
yeah,
Could I ask a question?
of course.
Thank you. So 65% of the respondents were in favor of a multi-generational center.
Yep.
As opposed to what?
As
So-
opposed to just a senior center.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, so those that, and I'll get to it a little bit later, those that indicated that they were more likely to support a senior-only facility did have some caveats in their survey, but I'll get to that in a little bit.
Thank you. Great.
Yeah. So what happens after that? So those who aren't in the architecture firm, what happens is the survey results plus some community conversations, you develop a program, and it's essentially the entire square footage of what you need for a facility. I actually asked Bartlett Henry to compare, to do two separate programs. One as a intergenerational multi-service senior, recreation, veterans, multiple services, human services, and one that's a senior only. But it's important to note here that even the current facility we're in is not just a senior-only facility. We have human services. A lot of the human services cases, about 20% pre-pandemic, were younger residents. So we might call it a senior center, but it's not that. So I actually asked them to come up with two separate programs, and it's very, very small, but you can see at the bottom there that the size of comparing the two buildings is essentially the same. You're looking at about a 15,000 square foot space for intergenerational, where it'd be a little less than 13,000 for a senior-only facility. So then it comes up to what's more cost-effective for the town, building a senior-only facility now, and then 25 years from now, building a recreation facility that's going to be double the money, or is it smarter, cost savings-wise, to design one facility? So the next question that hopefully we can answer is, where could a new facility be located? So we highlighted three locations in town. So to orient yourself, if you look at the bottom left-hand side of the screen, that's the public safety facility. And then Chestnut Green is over to the right. And just off screen to the lower right is Carl Landon Court. So Site A, for those who are familiar, is basically a level grade area, was once part of the state hospital. And we actually highlighted this because Mr. Haydecker actually presented me with a plan that I believe him and Vicki Lowe looked at a number of years ago in this location, level site. So it's something that could prove to be a great location. Site B is where the current auditorium is. Obviously, it's a historical significant building, but it does have a lot of parking and does face a major thoroughfare in town. And then Site C is actually where the laundry building is now, adjacent to the lacrosse field on Payson Road recreation fields. So Site A. I'm going to show you a number of plans. They all revolve around a two-story option, but in your board docs and for the full presentation, I do have a single-story version and a two-story version, but since we're limited by time, I'm just going to show you the two-story version. So Site A, two-story version, is oriented facing towards Payson Road, with the back of it facing towards North Street, but you can see there's not an entrance from North Street. And one of the major components is also that it has 85 parking spots, has a bocce court, a service area, and a drop-off area as well. And you can see that the parking lots connect between the new parking lot and where the auditorium parking lot is, but also there's a service entrance roadway to the north of the site. Site B is just using where the current auditorium sits. A number of years ago, myself and the former building commissioner took a look at the building to try and figure out, is this something that could be a community center at some point? But not to muddy the waters at this point, we said, okay, let's just go with a single design that could be put in any one of these sites, rather than let's try and modify an existing building to suit our needs.
Mark, is the auditorium used currently for
No.
anything? No, it's
Spiders and mice, I think.
vacant building. Okay.
So at this point, the front of the building is facing towards the back, the rear of the public safety, and the left side of the building is facing towards Payson Road. This is also one of the smaller designs of parking spaces because it is such a limited site. Site C is further back into Payson Road, so it doesn't have that upfront visibility, but does have a premier access to the lacrosse field with the back of the facility looking out onto the lacrosse field, and also has the largest number of parking spaces at 86 parking spots. And we also were cognizant of the reservoir there, of just keeping out of the conservation area as well. But you can see there's a fairly long driveway in, and obviously it's right next to some of the condos there too. So the next question I hope to answer is, what would a new facility look like? So for this, this is really hard if you're not in this world, but what I need you to focus on is the concept rather than focusing on individual furniture layout, exact wall placement, or exact design. You're focusing on the concept of a two-story, multi-service, multi-generational building that could hold home to the Council on Aging Human Services Office, the Recreation Department offices, and Veterans Services as well. So this is first floor, and if you look at the TV rather than the projector, I think you get a better view of this. So this is a first floor design, and I'm going to actually zoom in a little bit to the left side of the building, and I'll quickly walk you through. I won't spend too much time because I know I only have another 15 minutes left. But if you look at the lower middle part of the screen is where the entrance, entering the building, to a large open air lobby and a front desk to the left. Yeah, Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Sorry.
Mark. Is this plan for all 3 sites?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
this one plan fits in multiple sites.
Okay.
Yeah. An open air lobby, a check-in desk, and then if you kind of go off to the brown area is where the staff, open air staff offices, and then if you kind of curve down the corridor a little bit, you'll reach the Human Services Director office, the Recreation Director's office, the Recreation Assistant office, offices for our social workers, as well as a break room. The green space is a large program room, multi-service program room that can be divided up. It can be divided up into 3 separate rooms if we need to, but also it provides access where the room dividers actually tuck into the wall. So right now we have a situation where if the wall room is divided up, half of the room is basically taken up by the wall dividers. And then you can also see in that lobby area there's an elevator to the second floor as well as an open air staircase. But for the next purpose, I'm going to go down follow that yellow to the right, further down the hallway, and meet up with a cafe area here that is served by a kitchen with a coffee station. And that kitchen, if you can picture it, can host meal programs during the day, or maybe a kid's cooking class in the afternoon or evening. And then further down the hallway, you have a men's and women's room. And then tucked down is the Veteran Services area. So there is a reception area, and then the Veteran Services Director's office, as well as a professional office. So the senior center, we currently operate shine counseling or manicures, or Tom Kenvin will come down to do blood pressure. So this office can be turned over multiple times throughout the day, rather than taking a large room and using it just for a sole purpose. And then further down the hallway, you also have food pantry. So throughout this process, we learned that the food pantry will be losing their home come December or January when Schneider Electric, hopefully something happens to it. So they're going to be losing their home. So we said, well, we're in the concept phase. At this point, let's say if we add a little space, we talk to them and put in space for a food pantry. And you can also see here that there's storage throughout the building. The hard part of building any new facility, especially when you move 3 different departments in, is we all have a whole bunch of stuff. And where's that stuff going to go? So there's storage, and there's also a staircase to the second floor that's more of a fire accessible staircase. So then I'm going to go to that second floor. And from there, I'm actually going to focus on the left side of the building. So you can see the yellow area, which is open to below. You have the staircase up from the lobby, and then also the elevator to the second floor as well. And the conference room there can be used for some smaller programs, or maybe the Board of Rec meeting, or maybe when the Veteran Services Director meets with multiple people in one space. And then to the further up, you see a game room that has a pool table and a couple of table and chairs for some smaller meeting space. And then a library. So I'm getting back to the point of the seniors that requested a senior-only facility. The question was asked, would they support a multi-generational facility if one part of that building was strictly senior-only, no matter what the time of day, if it's senior-only. So this comes down to the question of programming. So 42 weeks of the year at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, it's typically would be a senior-only facility because adults are at work, kids are in school. Obviously, it comes down to programming, and for those who don't know, I've done this before. So in Randolph, we opened a new building with seniors and children in one space. It comes down to programming, of making sure that you don't have two people planning programs at the exact same time for different age groups. I think that the collaborative spirit here in Foxborough is different than other communities. I think that we have really the collaborative spirit to get that done and have it be that, sure, there is time when it will be challenging because there are a time when you can have young adult programming at the same time as seniors, but that comes down to making sure that we're all in the same mission. So before I move on to further to the right, you can also see where it says future expansion space. Throughout this process, anyone I talk to about any new building, the first thing they say is, make sure there's space for future additions. That's a Foxborough thing. That's not something that happens in other towns, but I think you've been maybe burned a little bit with a senior center that can't really go up or down or left or right, in a library that you kind of shoehorned in an addition several years ago. So adding a space that essentially is mothballed for a period of time, and maybe 10, 15 years from now, there's a large teen center contingent that says, we really need a teen center in this town. Rather than building another new facility, you have a space that is great storage for now, but rather than spend the money to develop it now, it's just there for future use. So continuing down, I'm just going to take a drink of water, sorry. Continuing down the hallway, there's an arts and crafts studio, another second-story bathrooms, some more storage, and then a fitness studio that's over the food pantry. So when you have a lot of seniors doing Zumba, they're not dancing too loudly over offices or quiet program on the first floor. So that essentially is the floor plan of the building. And I know some people, it's hard to visualize what that looks like. So this is a concept drawing, but what is more kind of the prettier drawing is this. So this is what had me when I saw this the other day. It's a traditional New England building. That was something that the community during the survey, a lot of people said that they didn't want this to be incredibly modern and they wanted to fit in with Foxborough's New England style, and this is essentially it. Just because it's white, that doesn't mean that the building has to be white. That's what I mean. Just don't concentrate on the colors, but concentrate on the overall concept. So I think it's a very nice building, obviously, well manicured and lawns and everything. So then the next question that is on everyone's mind is, what would a new facility cost? So anytime that I've gone through this process, what inevitably happens is at this phase, we say a number, and then if things go well, 5 years from now, you want the same number that I say tonight to be the number that happens 5 years from now. Again, going through this process, most of the time when you hear the number, you say, well, tell me what it's going to cost to build. There's a lot of other costs than what's going to cost to build. The furniture, the fixtures, the equipment, the outdoor furniture, the IT. So when Bartlett Henry was putting together the cost analysis, I said two things. One, I want to make sure that it's the cost of soup to nuts, what it will cost in the end. I want to say the number tonight and have it be that cost 5 years from now. And two, we all know that construction costs as of right now are crazy. We all know that. Might be coming down, might be going up, who knows. I asked them to use today's real numbers because I don't want someone to say, well, June's numbers, June 2021 is really high. Did they really account for that? They accounted for that. So overall cost with everything, soup to nuts, is $13,176,707. That complete breakdown is actually in board docs that breaks down everything. Construction materials, the equipment, everything. And if there's very specific questions, that is perfect for Dan and Rachel. That is something that is, we hired the experts to be able to do that. So next steps, and that's where I think the eager people, whenever we talk about this, is what happens next. So not looking for an action from you guys tonight. This isn't the end-all, be-all. If something gets voted in and there's a building tomorrow, hopefully you'll discuss it tonight. Then you'll listen to constituents' comments and concerns. And then my real hope is that there's people either watching at home or here tonight that will advocate for this facility in the future. At this point, my job was to get you from the feasibility study, voted it November 2019 town meeting, to the finalized feasibility study. My job is complete. My plan is to present this a few times to seniors, but at that point, I kind of sit back and say, if this is a desire for the community, obviously the world has changed a considerable amount since November 2019. We're in a different place. Who knows where we'll be 6 months from now? Who knows where we'll be 5 years from now? So the next steps, you can look for an allocation for design, an allocation for design or construction, or the project is shelved for a number of years until you pick it up again. I mean, this is the real what happens in the next steps, and hopefully the community will come together and figure out what they would like. But until then, we are ready. So with that, any questions or anything? I tried to keep it short, so I could literally talk for hours about this, but 20 minutes and 24 seconds at this point.
He's got his actual stopwatch on the side.
Did a great job getting
Thank you.
through that
Great.
precisely that quickly. Any questions?
No questions. I just thought it was a great presentation. I think it included everything that I wanted to know. You're very complete. Yeah.
Mark answers the questions before they're asked.
Exactly, right?
We
Leaves
see
us all-
that.
Leaves us all quiet up here.
So one thing I'll say is at the beginning of this process, a lot of people said, well, we can just do this ourselves. Well, Mark, you've done this building. Can't you just do it? And I really advocated for hiring a professional consultant, because this is what you get with a professional consultant. They came up with the beautiful pictures. We could get anyone to draw some floor plans, but able to say that in theory this all works. It's great. I work with Bartlett Henry. For the previous project, we hired them for design and construction in Randolph. They were great to work with for 3 or 4 years, and they've just done some amazing facilities. So the pictures here, I think they truly captured Foxborough spirit, and they went through a lot of data to try and get to this stage.
Yeah, and luckily, I think we have 3 good locations in town, when the time's right for this, that we're kind of lucky to have 3 locations to possibly choose from, and they're near the Payson Fields, which have grown so much, in the last year. So with that, do we need a motion tonight to do anything with this, or?
Just a motion to accept the report.
Motion to accept the report, okay.
So just to clarify a few things, I'm sure there'll be questions from your various members in the audience as well, but I do think that this is a really important first step, and I stress the word first step, because there are probably 15 steps in this process. So I think we just have to be mindful of that. But you have to start somewhere, and I think this is a good start. So it's not the soup to nuts result that you're going to see here tonight. This may get massaged several times in the process. We have to talk about, how would we finance something like this? How would we pay for it? I mean, there's different ways you can approach that. You can look at, a combination of public as well as private investment to look towards maybe helping fund that. These are kind of projects that have become very popular for people to make donations towards, and I think that's something that we should all think about. That should require some effort of fundraising for that. So you wouldn't typically do that for certain other buildings, like a school building type of thing, but you would consider it for this only because there is a certain level of attraction for people to invest in a project like this, because it addresses 3 or 4 different segments of the community. You've got veterans, you've got seniors, and you've got children. And I think that's important for people to take a look and to invest in, and that's why it attracts that level of interest. So I think that's something to think about, but I do think that the key, there was a lot of things that were addressed here tonight. One is the possibility of looking at consolidating 3 departments under one roof. I think that's very interesting to me. I think it's something that we should look at, because it creates opportunity where we can continue to collaborate more and really work with each other to try and help the needs of those various audiences that we're talking about. The second thing is the fact that you're looking at a building which really has been needed for quite some time, primarily because of the success of what's been going on over there. I do think that the recreation program has lacked the type of facility it's needed for quite some time as well. So you're addressing the veterans really could use more space, so they could collaborate more with the senior population, as well as the youngsters. There's a lot of youngsters that would like to know about what those veterans have done, and I think they should know that. It's really important for them to know that. So I think it's really a very good first step, and I think it has a lot of interesting aspects to it. But I think the community itself has to embrace this concept, and that's why I think it's really important that everybody see this for the first time and then think about it and then weigh in on it.
So I think in my eyes, that's the next step, is the community, meetings and things that would happen. So, just for everyone, I know everyone in this room probably is familiar with it, but this is really, closing the chapter on that first step. We're not approving it to move forward tonight. We're not approving that design, but really closing the chapter on the feasibility study. And then I think we have to do a little bit of work, to see where do we need to tweak this? What does the community think? And that will probably take some time as well. So with that, any questions from the board for the folks on the line, or Mark?
Yeah, Lee, so I'm just thinking about, this was step one. Bill referenced, he just came up with a number that's relatively big, but 15, right? So
It may not be that high.
yeah, no, I
But
get your
just
point.
picked out a number.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I just
is
picked out a
step one of many, or several.
I thought
anyway.
15 sounded short.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Well, each one will probably have 75 sub-steps, but anyway, I digress. So I'm thinking about steps 2, 3, and 4, because those are most prominent and, first in our roadmap, and I understand sort of Mark's perspective and what his next steps are. Me being new to this, relatively new to this role, I just want to understand how we factor into steps 2, 3, and 4, and, what do we do to help this process along? And then secondly, I'm thinking about if this was contemplated at all in our master plan or our 5-year investment plan, so that it's part of what we've been thinking about, or is this the first time it's been contemplated in terms of investment?
Well, you couldn't really put a plan, I think we've talked about it, but we haven't really put a plan to paper until now.
Yeah.
But you see, that's when we get to the investment piece, but it's a very good point. So I think this is something that will have to go on the list of capital plans,
Yeah.
capital projects. That all depends upon the level of response and interest that you get from the reaction to this. I do think that's important, and you do have the community meetings and community discussions, and you have a very interested group here tonight, and I'm glad you're here because to see this, because this is really important for you as well. But there are other constituencies that are not represented here tonight, as well as the fact that there are a lot of taxpayers that they're going to want to weigh in on this and say, okay,
Sure.
well, how'd you get to that number, or the other type of thing. So I don't want people to focus too much on the number yet, because I do think that number could be massaged different ways. So I think, and the fact that we're looking at the prospect of using town land is important, because it could be a lot more expensive if we didn't. So the fact that we have land, as Leah pointed out, that's really a good point to start. But I do think that getting the reaction now is key. Getting it on the capital plan is key. And then looking at where we might slot this into our borrowing plan, because there are things that are going to be rolling off in a few years that may give us an opportunity to actually slot something in.
Yeah, so I don't think we're here tonight to really debate, is this a go forward, is this not? This is just really closing presenting and closing the feasibility study, and then those discussions, is this something we want to do, from the community? That would be that next step that I imagine Mark's going to put on a heck of a roadshow, organizing all kinds of meetings all around town, where people are able to kind of get into that.
They would have all
minutia.
come tonight if they could. This was just limiting to this was hard, so.
It's a rainy night too, so.
It is.
Just one last point, I take that that makes perfect sense, Leah. We just need to be prepared for people who support it and they want to do it for $10 million, because that number is going to be something that is, 13 million, we can massage it, it can cost some materials change, but people are going to want to do it for less, right? So having support or having different thoughts around cost, we should just be ready for that type of.
Or different financing strategies.
Yeah.
That's the other side of that.
Or people that want to do it for more, people
Yeah.
that want to do it, don't want, there's going to be all kinds of.
Third story.
Yeah, third, fourth story that come
Got an
out.
elevator, what's the difference?
A night like tonight raises lots of questions. It
Yeah.
doesn't solve the issue.
Right,
So I
exactly.
think we should work on what would be viable next steps, and then and then present them to everybody and see how people either embrace or have further suggestions for it.
Sounds like a plan. And Mr. Haydecker, sorry, before we move on to the participants, anyone else in the audience have anything?
Yeah, well, one other thought you sort of alluded to it just a second ago. What would the action steps be? Maybe we should come up with that.
And like
Well,
realistically,
because-
what year? Like,
What year, but, I was around when this building was built, but I don't know what the previous 10 years was like to get this building built. What were those steps? I'd like to see what our steps would be.
Well, I think the reason this building didn't get built when it did was because there was an agreement upon what that building should look like and what should be included in it. Once we settled on that, it went relatively quickly.
But there were still steps.
There were steps, and I think unfortunately, a few of those steps were missed along the way. Now, once they got put in place, the process moved pretty quickly. I do think this is really a good first step because now it's identified a whole bunch of things. You can change the color of the building. You can change the furniture. You can change the walls. You can do all those things. But right now, what was outlined tonight was these are the things that we're thinking about. This is the ideas we want to put into it. The concepts, these are the things that were identified in their survey, which was huge to have that. 65% other people saying, yes, it's important to have this. That's a really good first step. So I think those are things will actually sideline a process pretty quickly unless you have that information up front. And I think that's a good first step for that in that regard.
anyone else? No? Well, you guys are off the hook easy from the board, at least. I don't know about the audience. But I see Mr. Haydecker has something you'd like to say. If you want to come up, do these microphones work? No?
I
don't know.
I'm going to say,
Light on, if that helps.
yeah. there's
No light? I can't see from here.
You might,
Speak loud.
Okay, okay.
You can hear me. I know Arthur can, so.
Well, it was for the benefit of the TV audience too, though, right?
yeah.
The plan itself, in my mind, from an architectural point of view, has a great deal to offer.
Mhm.
But I think we must look at it from the point of view that this is not a building that you move into once and you live in it for 50 years the way it's built. If you look at the plan again, there are toilets all over the building. There are small offices, storage rooms, and banks and stairs all over the building. And then you have, on the second floor, the big room over the kitchen and what have you, and the room in another corner. If we could simplify where these are located, because you don't move toilets easily in any building, be it commercial, residential, or any other way that you want to. Get them in a central area rather than a toilet here. There are more toilets here on one level than in that entire building down there. And the question is, as you look at this stuff, do we need private toilets for little offices here, there, and the other place? The question in my mind would be no. But this is something I think you would have to look at. The other thing is, and Arthur can fill you in on this stuff, every corner you put in the building is costly. And when you have a building with different breaks in it, and moves and twists and hides, the cost begins to add up. Can we simplify this? Do we need to simplify it? Do we want to simplify it? This is an important step I think we need to get at. So in my mind, it's a question. I've been incommunicado for the last 3-4 months, so I haven't been around looking at anything. But it's a good move. It's a good move in terms of what we have seen. But I would suggest, I think we need to look, this is what we need today. 50 years from now, we can guess what we might need, like we're guessing what we need from the old senior center. But let's just compare the two in a sense. The old senior center was designed by the Board of Selectmen. If you really get into it, the auto dealer chairman was chairman of the whole thing and moved some things. The use and location site was picked by the selectmen. The building instruction was given by the selectmen. They didn't even think of the storage room downstairs. The building committee did, because everyone was yelling there wasn't any storage room above the town hall. So we put 5,000 feet of storage in that ground floor. Everyone paid for it. And if you look at what it's being used for today, there's a box here, a box there, some dirt over here, and some other things. It didn't produce what people thought we needed, and that's the big question. As we think about what we might need 20 years from now, or 30 years from now, what changes might take place, are we still going to consider that we're going to have 300-seat functions once a year, like we do now? Do we want to build a space that handles 300-seat big banquet once a year and pay for it? Do we want all of the tables and all of the chairs and all of the stuff we would need for that banquet? Or are we going to send them down the road to, like we do currently, to take care of the big crowd once a year? If we're saying we're going to do it 10 times a year, that's a different issue. But I think we've got to come to grips with this stuff and see if these are the needs. The plan did not show the 300-seat banquet hall. It showed what was 200 plus in addition. Where are we going to store all the tables and stuff for this? That we're only going to use once a year.
Mr. Haydecker, if I just may, I think we're going to get into that level of detail, and I think that what you're concerned about happening, I don't want to speak for the board, but I don't want to design the senior center. So, yeah, yes.
The other thought is, I think we've made a good start. We might have put together what we need to begin with. I have the old charts that go back to what was done 30 years ago. They're almost the same, but not quite, because things didn't seem to exercise, especially when we discovered we didn't have any columns on the upper floor. So we couldn't build a third floor. But it wasn't the building of the third floor that was the problem. It was the fact that we didn't have enough parking space. That prevents us from doing any work there. We're locked in, and we were locked in then by the choice of the site. So all I'm suggesting is, I feel it's a good start. It's given us something that we can now comment on and think about and talk. But I think we need discussion around town.
Completely agree.
Not just here.
Completely agree.
And luckily, we're back in a world where that discussion can now happen, where we can get people in a room of all generations and, different populations. So we're so lucky now we can do that. I think this is my guess. This is something that's years down the road. No, I'm not saying like 5, 10, but I don't think this is anything that we're going to be breaking ground on like next year. So I think we have a lot of time to do all those discussions, and we've learned a lot from the current senior center, as you've said, so.
As in the past, I'll be happy to help any way I can.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dick.
Those of you who don't know me, I'm Allie Rodriguez.
I think, can you come up here just for TV, so the lovely people at home can see you?
So those of you who don't know me, I'm Allie Rodriguez, Director of Veteran Services. Memorial Day, Armed Forces Day, Veterans Day, Gold Star Wives Day, POW MIA Day, those are my 300 plus events. So this building will absolutely be used for 300 plus events more than once.
And camp today, I think Renee, I think today at camp when it rained, you might have had 100 plus
Would've had a room
kids
for
in that garage that you saw the picture of.
Mark came and took the picture prior.
Too bad you didn't wait just a little
Control
bit.
chaos, control
To see it
chaos.
right now.
Yes.
Which one's working?
Either one.
We don't know, I don't think that either one, you can sit there, Mr. Craig.
I don't need a microphone. Arthur Muldoon, 45 year resident, 112 Caucasus Street, Unit 7. I'd like to hear something about what's going to happen to the existing senior center when the new one is being built. I feel that there should be some thought to it because I don't want to see another firehouse.
Yeah, absolutely, that's a really, really great point. So I think those, if you're keeping kind of notes for the community conversation, that's a really important one
The
too.
other thing I'd like to have, I can't see, I'm legally blind. And I'd like to have Has anything been published that I could put on my reader? I've got a reader that the VA gave me that I can put stuff in and it magnifies.
Okay.
If I press a button, it will read to me.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Come see me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Come see you tomorrow.
What time?
I'll get-
You want to get that specific?
3:59. Noon.
And
Sure.
it might be a good idea to get the feasibility study, if you haven't already, put it up on your page. And I'm sure we can link it other places, just like the housing production plan is, and some of these other plans that we have going on.
Yeah, I thought it was important for
Yes.
you all to see it first. I have copies, I have everything ready to go. I just wanted to make sure that the selectmen saw it first, so.
Oh, all right, good. I wondered why you brushed me off.
It wasn't intentional, I can tell you that.
All right, anyone else before we move on? Yes, Mr. Dumas?
Oh, better turn up the
Dumas,
mic.
sorry.
Yes,
We won't need a mic.
I've been in town 49 years, and I remember a lot of things way back. I was on the school committee 81 to 87, and for a couple of years before that, the senior center was bounced around. Originally, it was in the Igo building, with live school stuff. Then it went down to the lowest building. So when they came up with, I wasn't involved in the building that's on Central Street. But for such a dire need for so long, there was a lot of emotion when that building got built. It was probably some hasty things and not enough futuristic planning. But we have to realize that the senior population is growing a lot in this town, okay? But that's only 1/3 of this proposal. 40 years ago, there was talk about getting a teen center. And we certainly know at the middle school level and the high school level, the problems in the community that can be helped by this type of inclusiveness. And I know personally, from the veterans' perspective, that when I was on the advisory, which was 96 to 2000, our town did a terrible job for veterans. With Ally and Mike Johns, we've done a great job. Okay, so this is a way to step forward with all of those things. And, seniors that would profit from this, they're also concerned with the taxes. You got a lot of seniors that are paying $5,000 a year for taxes that haven't had a kid in the school for 40, 50 years. So don't rush it, but we need it.
Thank you. I like that. Don't rush it, but we need it.
Oh, we don't need it tomorrow.
Right, yeah. Yeah, right, yeah. All right, anything else before we move on? No? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, everyone, for coming out tonight.
Oh, no, I forgot because I was passing them out. I do have, the grand opening for this, I forgot to tell you, is this Saturday. So if anybody wants to attend, here, that's the whole reason I came.
Thank you.
I left the poster on the door. If any of you can come, we can have you speak about how excited you are. Let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
You want these?
All right, we're just giving a minute for the room to clear out. You guys don't mind, just, there's plenty of room in the... All right, so the next item is the Shoveltown Review a Taste of Foxborough and approval of 31-day liquor licenses. think everyone knows these gentlemen by now. They've been in front of us quite a bit, so, although first time in person,
First
right?
time in person.
Yes, first time in person.
Oh, yeah.
You look
Yeah.
a lot different in person, man.
I shaved the beard.
There you go.
All right, great. So we'll let you guys, if you want to just tell us what you have going on. I think we're just extending what we've already done, but if you can give us a quick synopsis.
All right, well, Jim McSherry, co-owner. I think it's been fairly decent crowds and good excitement about the Taste of Foxborough. It's going along fairly smooth, so.
Yeah, Frank Altieri, co-owner. We've had no issues, no noise complaints that I'm aware of, no problems at all. The crowd has been great. Lot of different mix of people that have come through. And we've heard, nothing but good reviews about it from the customers that we've talked to. So it's been well received. There hasn't been any issues with parking or any of the traffic. Really, traffic hasn't been an issue. No one's alerted us of any of those concerns. No noise complaints, no odor or any of the things. We met all the requirements, obviously, to open, and we've been sticking with it, and it's been going pretty good.
Yeah,
I think the only thing I would say is that we didn't realize how dependent the weather would impact
Yeah,
it.
you guys have hit a couple.
And, the rain, not only just the rain, but if it was, there's, like, if it's warm or really warm, windy, there's every possible weather scenario really has impacted, and that was more than we really expected.
okay. I have to say, I went up, and I think Steph mentioned she went up. I don't know if others, and I was really impressed with that little bracelet system you guys had going to show, who's.
It just lets you know who's in the
Yeah.
corral, we'll say, basically.
It's easier for the server, they're so busy trying to run food and drinks that, we don't want to have them have to do that. And we also, I don't know if you noticed, we have the technology where we're scanning all the cards. So it's a pretty, I don't know, it's about $500, but.
Well, it's an ID checker, basically.
Yeah.
is what it is.
So you actually scan the barcode on the back of the license, and it tells you if it's fake or not, and it also gives you an indication if they're over 21. So a person at the gate isn't making the mistake of doing that. So those are the kind of things that we put in place to do that. The other interesting thing is we had a professional company design the sound system, and what we did was we dispersed the sound so the people who are there can enjoy a reasonable level, but it doesn't propagate out into the other areas. And then again, the way we have the trailers positioned, that kind of buffers it. And then we talked to some of the neighbors, and they were pretty happy about the fencing also. So all of those things put together, the design of the site and all that has been worked out pretty well.
So we'll throw it back to you guys. Have we?
All right, so
We
just
met
to
the requirements?
just to set the stage for everyone who may not be as involved in this or understand how it works, this is being done through one-day beer and wine alcohol license, and we can only issue 30 of those. So we're back with the same concept, but there's another manager on file to allow another 30 one-day licenses, and I believe there's going to be one more too.
That's correct.
To cover some hanging dates kind of out September and October. So I agree. I think everything that I haven't personally heard of any issues. If anything, I heard the positive that the fence improved the look of the neighborhood with looking at the back of any, commercial property, Chestnut Green. The neighbors were pretty happy about that. So I think if you guys, keep doing what you're doing, at least me personally, I'm in favor of continuing things like they are with the change of manager. I see we have the tip certificate, we have everything in good order here.
Madam Chair, if I could just say, it's been a pleasure dealing with these gentlemen. I mean, we've not had everything they've asked them to do, they've done it. He's correct. They're both correct. We've had no complaints. If anything, we've had compliments. So,
Yeah.
so I appreciate for the fine efforts they put into it, and it certainly helped us make our job easier, and for you as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? I see Katie's here. Katie, you can just shake your head, you're on mute. If you don't have anything, that's okay.
All good here.
Okay, all right, great.
I would like to maybe make one request. I know on Sundays, we have, we're asked for the license from 12 to 6. We would like to ask for October 3rd to go to 8 o'clock.
Any significance of that date or anything?
There's a Patriots game that day,
Okay.
and we were just hoping to catch the crowd, but we don't know. It may, if no one shows up, we'll close at 6,
Okay.
but if there's a crowd, we'd love to
Okay.
take the opportunity.
And that one's not, I think you said October 3rd. Do you mean September 3rd? or-
Did I say, I said October?
No, yeah, that's
October
gonna,
3rd, I'm
that'll
sorry.
come up in the next round.
So that will be the next.
Oh, okay,
That will be the
okay.
next round. So we'll table the October 3rd date
Sure.
until then and approve this
Okay.
one.
Third or the fourth? Is that the Brady game?
Oh, the 4th is the Brady game, yeah.
I
The
had it
first
as the
home game, I
3rd,
think,
but
is
Could be-
September, is November, because I'm away.
October 3rd
Is the Brady
Oh,
game.
is the
is
Brady
the
one.
Brady
Brady
game.
game, okay.
It's the 3rd,
Yeah.
yeah. And because the next one's the 10th.
That's a 4 o'clock game.
Okay, so that's not till the next,
October
Batch.
3rd,
Batch.
Sunday. I have it as an 8 o'clock game.
Oh, it's an 8 o'clock game. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, so I see. So you'd have people before they went.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
see. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're just not approving that tonight, so we'll just hold it till the
Sure,
next one.
that's fine. I just,
But make sure Katie makes note of it.
Or they should note it on their application.
Okay, oh, true.
So when you put your next batch of application in, just designate that on the
okay.
application for them.
Yeah, the applications are already in. so
Oh, they
we'll
are,
just-
okay.
Oh, we'll just modify
Okay,
it.
all right.
We'll just send an updated one.
And then I have one question, not to interrupt, but while we're on that topic, we did lose 2 days to rain, Memorial Day weekend. We were approached from somebody within the town to do a fundraiser, like a cornhole tournament. It's tough to close the place down to the public on a Thursday, so we were thinking of a Wednesday. I know we didn't go for Wednesdays, but I'm just wondering what we would do with that missed rain day. Could we apply it to like a town fundraiser for that Wednesday and shift to a Wednesday, or is that not within the scope?
So my thought is, this is already pretty creative, and I think from a clerical standpoint, trying to get involved in like, we closed early this day, or we didn't, it just becomes a little complicated, and unless you guys can come to us with some sort of solution, I don't know. I feel like it's cleaner to approve it like this, and if someone does come to you, come to us, and let's look at that as another date, because I think you'll have some extra dates on the other application. So I would prefer to approve what we have here, and then if there's something that we have definite plans for, then let's take that one at a time.
Fair enough, thank you.
That's reasonable.
But you can't transfer
Yeah,
a
that just doesn't
non-used
work that
license.
day.
Okay.
The license
All right.
was issued, whether you used it or not.
So if somebody came and wanted to do a Wednesday within the next round, we'd ask for that specific Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think we have some extra days, Katie will probably agree, but I don't know if it's really 30, 30, 30, you know, I think there are a few extra days.
Yeah, I
so.
didn't count these ones, but
Yeah.
yeah, we can't like bank a day because it
Sorry,
wasn't or
Madam
wasn't
Chairwoman.
used. I
Fair
think
enough.
just,
Yeah.
it becomes a little too
Sorry.
Okay, I
complicated.
was gonna- Go ahead, Katie.
Oh, Katie's gone.
Sorry, excuse me. I did go through the dates again. So it's actually the next round will be 30, but then we'll have to do another of a total of 6 licenses. It'll be the October 23rd, 24th, 28, 29, 30, 31. Just because I was going through the dates and it just didn't add up. So I'll just make note of that for a 4th round.
Okay, so is our motion here okay, what we have here, dates-wise? Yeah? Okay.
Yep, we're perfect for this time. And I will, just from what you guys said, for October 3rd, I'll make note for the 8 p.m.
Okay.
Just a commentary. If you're doing an event at the same time you have football traffic going in and out, you have to realize that street in front of you becomes jammed because of people going to the stadium that have friends and family up on North Street, as well as access to the back gates to get in to the stadium area itself. And then after an event, it's a madhouse. You know, and I just want to alert you that you might not get the customer base that you would expect. And you have to be a little bit prepared for that, as my
wouldn't-
lifetime experience.
I don't think they'd have a problem on the way out of the game, but going in,
Way in.
they
Yeah,
would.
well,
Well,
going out if they.
I think he's right for some of the Sundays that
or like a
Well,
1
so- oh,
o'clock.
so- Yeah, no, I thought you were just referring to that one extra date.
Right.
A
No,
special day.
no,
Okay.
like when I looked at the schedule, there are, there's other days that we would be open, and there's a Patriots game on like 1 o'clock or something.
Right.
So the only reason I asked for that other one was because it was an 8 o'clock game, and we have the opportunity potentially to do that. But
Okay.
Right.
I get it, yeah.
And just to clarify, the site plan that I don't say we didn't approve it because it didn't go through like full site plan review, but we did approve tents. So that's up to you guys, rain and heat wise, if you wanted to have tents. That was something that we discussed and
Yeah.
everyone was okay with. So, I think that's your decision for weather and heat, where you guys decide to go with that, so.
Okay, thank you.
And really to come full circle a little bit, with Katie mentioning she might have to have a 4th round for a few extra days, if that 3rd round, you want to do that Wednesday cornhole competition, we could push 1 extra day into the 4th round. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So you'd still have 30, and Katie might now have 7
Yeah,
in the last round.
yeah.
Do you have 4 managers?
Yeah.
Luckily, we're doing okay with help, but yeah, as we all know, help is tough for a lot.
By the way, several of the employees are from Foxborough.
Right.
Great. Great. All right, well, with that, I think we're ready for a motion. Okay?
Okay. Motion to approve 31-day beer and wine alcohol licenses for Shoveltown Brewery Incorporated, doing business as A Taste of Foxborough, for July 15 to 18, July 22 to 25, July 29 to 31, August 1st, August 5 to 8, August 12th to 15th, August 19 to 22nd, August 26th to 29th, and September 2nd, 3rd, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks,
Great.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Before they leave, Madam Chair, just a point just for everybody to hear. We did pass papers on the old fire station, so
yes.
construction has begun.
That's correct.
So any early indications of when you'll be in?
It's too early to tell.
All right. I know it's really early,
The
but.
construction plan did say January, but we
Okay.
got a
Yeah,
few
we're not-
extra weeks behind, so I'd say February 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
It'll move pretty rapidly.
Good. Excellent.
All right, great.
Good luck.
We
Glad to see it
will be
happen.
engaging the Historical Society and as well as the fire department for memorabilia that we can put up. Not necessarily
Great.
reproduction memorabilia. We won't take the
Okay.
originals.
Great. Perfect.
And also, just to make note, I know that the last 2 dates, the 2nd and the 3rd, that falls in the middle of a weekend. So I have you guys tentatively on the August 31st schedule.
Okay, so you'd be back into
The next
your August
round.
31st.
Be a next round.
Well, should it be a little bit ahead of that? Because
Do you
we're
want it
almost
to
a
be the
month
first meeting
ahead.
in August?
Yeah, we're almost a month ahead of their first date on this one, so I'm thinking if we're doing the same timing, they'd be back in here like early August.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah,
discussed
that
August
works.
17th, actually.
Okay. I think that the applications it has to be at least 2 weeks before or whatever.
It's
but-
August, I think it's August 17th.
Okay, all right,
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Laura.
all right, thank
See
you.
you soon.
Good to see you all. Good to see you in person.
Oh, no.
On what?
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I was just going to bring
we
it
did
up.
miss it?
We should accept the feasibility.
Okay, so I'm really off tonight. I've missed the pledge and now we've missed the motion. So let's go back and
Yes.
You're right.
formally accept the motion for the feasibility study. Okay. Thank you.
What's that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Motion to accept Senior Intergenerational Community Center feasibility study as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dot our i's,
Thanks,
cross
Doc.
our t's.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, we have boards and committee review and appointments. And I have to say, this has probably been almost a 2-year project, something that, obviously we roll over boards and committees every year, but we hadn't really stopped and looked and double checked and said to people, do you want to step off? Like, I think you might be listed on the veterans one, and I think you just said you were off. So I was, oh, you are on it. Okay, I thought you said there that you were done in 2020, and I said, oh no, I see him on the list. All right.
I try to get off.
It won't let you off.
I was trying to help you there. So. All right. So we're going to start off, though, first. And there's going to be a couple things that we're going to do that are more than just reappointing folks. There's committees that we've realized we can disband. There's committees that, are increasing members. And then we're going to talk about the CIP committee. So the first one is a committee that everyone has agreed we no longer need, and that is the Billboard Advisory Committee. So we did get a letter for that board to disband, and it's really going to fold under the Zoning Board of Appeals. So we do have a letter here from Lorraine Brew, who and Barney Orvert, who are the chairs of the Billboard Advisory and the Zoning Board of Appeals, who support this. So with that, I think, unless there's any discussion, we're ready for that first motion on disbanding this committee.
Motion to disband at the request of the Billboard Advisory Chair and Committee, and supported by the ZBA Chair, the Billboard Advisory Committee, and for its future responsibilities to be exercised and enforced by the Zoning Board of Appeals and Zoning Enforcement Officer.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. And the next one, in the spirit of the more the merrier, Clean Up Foxborough Day has, I think, grown each year, and AJ had asked if they can go from 3 members to 5 members. I believe he has filled 4 of the 5 seats already.
We have 5 with Joe.
We have 5 now, okay, with the students. So this next one, we're just taking this committee and increasing it from 3 members to 5 members. And just to remind everyone, the next cleanup day is tentatively scheduled for September 11th, 2021.
Motion to expand Cleanup Day Committee from 3 members to 5 members.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. The next piece is, again, something that's come out of discussions that have gone on for the last year or so. But the way the boards run right now, they run through May 1st. Now, we all know that our election happened shortly after that, and boards turn over and ex officio members change and all that. So, we get ourselves into some situations sometimes where people are working on a board and then a term expires or an ex officio turns over. So we thought it made more sense where it is allowable, because there's some bylaws like the Foxborough Cultural Council that was just in here where their dates are different, but where it is allowable and not bound by state statute or town bylaw, we do want to change those appointment dates from May 1st through April 30th to June 1st through May 31st. So it would take us through the end of that month, get us through town meeting and the election. Okay, ready for motion?
Motion to change term dates for all boards and committees not bound by state statute or town bylaw from May 1st through April 30th to June 1st through May 31st.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Oh, wait a minute, second.
Oh, sorry. So I told my allergies are bad tonight. I'm just off. Thank you. Kick me from there. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so the next one is the CIP committee, and we had approved everyone when we approved everyone else through June 22nd, but this is one of these boards where there's actually a meeting on Thursday. Is it Wednesday or Thursday?
Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow, where we have to close out some capital improvement planning business tomorrow. So we're going to extend those members through June 30th. There may be some turnover on those, especially like with advisory committee. If there's a new chair, they vote someone else in, but we're keeping the committee as is, but extending the term through June 30th to allow for tomorrow's meeting.
Ready for motion?
Yep.
Motion to extend the term of Capital Improvement Planning Committee members to June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, great. And the last one under this item is motion to approve the reappointment of members to town boards and committees. So this is everyone that's on a board who serves a term that's 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year. Some of them change. And we're not going to read through every name, but I just want to take a minute to sincerely thank everyone who volunteers their time to be parts of these boards and committees, because a town like Foxborough, Although we do, things at this table here, there is so much that happens at all these other boards and committees, and I can't thank everyone enough for their time and everything that they put into their particular boards, to keep the town running. I think everything being on Zoom this year has really brought to light how many different meetings there are and how many different boards and different chairs, and it's really been nice to be able to follow some of those meetings that, you maybe wouldn't get in to see, but you can watch it on YouTube. So I just wanted to really thank everyone that's been a part of that. And then a second piece, there will be some cleanup where I think over the last couple of years, we maybe aren't having people sign the code of conduct and the appointee handbook. So we are looking at that handbook right now. We obviously live in a different world. I think it was created 10 years ago. So now we have remote meetings and stuff. And, there's some things that I can think of and maybe others that we maybe need to add to this committee handbook, civility, expected behaviors and such, that we'll be looking at down the road. I think it's a little bit later just to kick off discussions on that. So with that long-winded explanation, I think we're ready to appoint a 6-page list of all of our boards and committee members, and expect a letter if you are on one of these boards from Town Hall asking you to come in and actually get sworn in. And then you will have to take open meeting law, and you'll acknowledge that you've received and read certain policies.
Madam Chair, I just want to note, because it is, the motion will be a little bit different than what was reflected in the actual agenda item, because you just voted to change the expiration date to 5/31. So it actually says 6/1, I think, in terms of the expiration date. So the actual motion is correct.
Okay.
So, but just wanted to make that note, so in case anybody saw that, was following along with it, and see that we weren't acting incorrectly.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So Bill, the motion that is.
The motion that you have is
accurate?
correct.
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the reappointment of members to town boards and committees for terms that expired 6/22/2021 to expire May 31st, 2022, May 31st, 2023, and May 31st, 2024.
Second.
Any further discussion? We have one of our committee members in the audience, so I want to thank you personally for all your decades of dedication. All right. All those in favor? All right, great, thank you. All right, the next is the town manager transfer, so Bill, I'll let you present that one.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the board has before it a series of transfers. There's a detail, there were two documents before you. One is a detail of the actual transfers themselves, and an actual explanation of the transfers and why they came about. I will note that this is probably one of the smallest level of transfers I've ever executed in my entire career. So this is $30,000 worth of transfers, which out of an $85 million budget is extraordinary. So I'm really grateful to all the department heads who actually paid close attention to their bottom lines. There were some things that we just had to correct because they were incorrect from a couple fiscal years ago. So we actually corrected those things, and I'm grateful for the work that Maria Almodovar did putting this together, as well as all the efforts that the department heads did to make this work. But it is a extraordinarily small number. I think Ed can probably vouch for that. The transfers at the end of the year are usually in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, instead of this year being in the $30,000 range. So I'm very grateful for that. Okay.
Any discussion?
Question.
Sure.
Yes, of course.
So I'm looking, so when were these put onto board docs?
Today.
Just today.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm struggling with a little bit, and it's not specifically this, but it's having to absorb information and stuff that I want to be prepared to consider as a board, when I have information that I'm just getting in the middle of the day of the night of a meeting, or something, one of the other items we have later on in the agenda, where I'm trying to burn through it. So I'm just thinking about the cadence of receiving information and when we discuss it and when we may vote on it. So just something I'm putting out there, I think.
So I can offer an explanation for this one in particular, because what happened in this case, we actually make these decisions up to the last minute before the board acts tonight. Now, technically, the board doesn't really have to act on this. It's just the town manager transferring these things, but I've always done it as a matter of practice. provided sort of in full disclosure to everyone, so nobody sees that there's any surprises. So normally this is administrative action, but I brought it to the board because this is the last opportunity we would have before the end of the fiscal year to do this. That's why it came at the very last minute, because we were looking at trying to make sure all the transfers were done prior to the end of the fiscal year. And so in the AdCom is meeting tomorrow night, they'll get the same information tomorrow night as well. So in this particular case, there's a good explanation for it.
So now that it's ready, does AdCom have this tonight?
It's actually being shipped to them. It was shipped to them tonight, earlier tonight,
By email?
by email.
Okay, okay.
To the chairman, it was sent to the chairman will
Okay.
forward to everybody else.
So our goal is to have everything in board docs the Friday before, and I agree.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll plan time on Friday to look for stuff, and when it's not there, it's hard to find the time during work to come back, Monday and Tuesday when things kind of trickle in, so I'm with you. We've got to
Yeah.
get everything really out there as much as we can as of Friday.
We are truly conscious of that there are some times that it's just impossible for us to do that, given the circumstances that we have. Something may come in late, and it's not so much that it was late, because it's just the way that things happen. Just the way this one was one in particular where this was probably the latest we've ever sent something out, because it really was right at the last minute. We sent it out like at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah.
So for that reason, and that was for a reason for that.
Yeah, I understand. And so I guess what I'm thinking about or might suggest is sometimes it's helpful, particularly for a document that's 25, 50 pages long,
Yeah.
if we could have that a week before,
Right.
the Friday before,
Yeah.
and then we can absorb it to the best of our ability. And we have no excuses as a board then, because we've had the information.
That's a fair point. That's right.
Yeah.
And I think just to your point, Seth, on that, I'm sorry to cut you off, Madam Chair, but this is a case where if you get a document of that length, we would want you to take a look at it and then maybe not act on it until the next meeting.
Yeah,
All right,
that makes
something
a lot
like
of
that.
sense.
So that we certainly don't want you to act on something where you're not ready for acting, because my experience over time is that good decisions don't come out of that. So I think it's better to make sure everybody's fully comfortable with the information before.
Particularly if something is several months out or several
Right.
years out in the case
Right.
of a feasibility study, that the sooner the better.
Yeah,
A week
and
makes
that's a good
difference.
example, I know sometimes we build the agenda out on Friday, but we have stuff that's available well before that, so we don't have to, I don't know if there's a way to have like a skeleton shell out there, where we're kind of, even when I wasn't chair, and it's helpful to see what's coming at the next meeting. I know I've been caught somewhere and someone will say, oh, I'm coming into your meeting next week to talk about this, and, we just aren't aware, so it's much, I don't know if that's even possible in board docs. Maybe if we know something's gonna be on the agenda, we have a shell built out with backup if it's available and ready and sitting, so.
Agreed.
Understood.
All right, and then just to plug that meeting tomorrow, that will be televised, correct? The
Yes,
CIP and the
yeah,
budget
the
transfers
CIP meeting,
tomorrow?
CIP, we're meeting at 6 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock is the AdCom to review these final transfers as
Okay,
well.
so back-to-back meetings tomorrow, one with the
Posted
CIP
to
and
attend.
one.
I'm sorry. I just want to let you know that you are posted to attend, so
Yep.
you're all set.
We can also, though, watch it on cable access if we need to. So those will be 2 back-to-back meetings, so don't run too early if you tune in for the first one.
That's right.
There's a second episode after.
That's right.
All right, great.
Ready? Motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 town manager transfers.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? All right, next is the fiscal year 2022 goal-setting discussion. So this is really the same document from last meeting. I think that we just wanted to give you the opportunity, Seth, where you were new, to be able to weigh in on this. I think we had talked about moving policy review up into town, everyone have it up. So there's financial health, communication engagement, business engagement, and smart economic growth, town operations, policy review, town manager succession plan, and then IT vulnerability review. So last meeting, we had said if we move 5 and 6, which is policy review and town manager review, up into town operations, because those are really town operations items, and then we move the IT vulnerability review over to Bill's goals, not the Board of Selectmen's goals. That was the thought, that we would keep what we have here, but collapse 5 and 6 up to 4, and then number 7 is in Bill's draft goals that we'll talk about next.
Yep.
Is everyone okay with the goals presented here? And I'm sure we can probably get these put together and then put up on the Board of Selectmen's site too, if our fans want to follow?
No, I think that's a good
All
idea.
right.
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing this back, Leah, as well.
No problem. And I played phone tag with Stephanie, but I don't think she had anything. I don't know if she reached out to you. I think she was okay with this based on last meeting, so she couldn't be here tonight, but we'll move forward with it. All right. I don't think we need to take a motion on that, do we? Oh, you do want us to take one?
You already act on them last time?
No, we didn't.
Then you probably should.
Okay, all right, let's take a motion then, as amended, as we just discussed this evening.
Motion to adopt the goals as proposed and amended tonight as the fiscal year 2022 Board of Selectmen goals.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, and then hand in hand with that is the town manager goals. So if you have a chance to pull it up, Bill had created some goals that tie into these. Him and I talked a little bit earlier today, though. The way I view this, because I'm like a visual person, I need the goals under each category, kind of like they were visually presented last year. Bill can take some of those out, but then fit these into the format for last year. So I think we just have to, formatting wise, clean those up and then see them to approve them.
One of the things that you'll see in this document, though, which is different from last year, is that I tried to define what that meant for the town manager as opposed to what it meant for the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, yep.
All right, so, because there are specific requirements that the town manager has responsibility for. So, as opposed to more of a policy, these are more action items for me, and I think I just want to be clear about what the expectation would be when I work on these things and then come out with an end product. So I've tried to define each one of these things accordingly.
Yeah, and we can always have this as an appendix with more detail if we need to.
Right.
But I have trouble following these long Word documents. I need like an Excel and to see, each one with where we can kind of like check it off as the year goes. So I think there was a lot we felt were duplicate that would go. Just take it in track changes, remove whatever you want, and then add these, and it will leave us with a much slimmer version of town manager goals. Everyone okay with that?
Yeah, I thought this was good, but I could see where you're.
I think there's stuff that's not, this is all new stuff, but then there's stuff like, bring in the department heads and challenge departments to save money that I think is in the other document that should
Should be
continue.
carry over. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So these are great additions, but I think there's some stuff in the other document that doesn't go away.
So it's a matter of formatting that, but I think it's important that everybody understands what I view as the expectation. I just want to make sure you agree with it, so that there's no surprises at the end,
Yeah, I mean, I think what you've put here is good. I just don't want to lose some of the stuff that's
Oh,
on the
no
other
question.
document
No
as
question.
well.
No question.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that you included, the American Rescue Plan
Yeah.
spending. That's huge. That's going to be a big part of your job over the next year.
Right.
Absolutely.
Our collective job, because ultimately,
Right.
I think we all have to be comfortable with what that plan's going to look like.
Yeah.
So are you guys okay if we just work behind the scenes to get those
Oh, yeah.
cleaned up, and then do you want to adopt them tonight?
We didn't put a motion in to adopt because we knew these were preliminary.
Okay, so let's hold off till next time, and I think it'll just be a quick housekeeping motion to adopt those.
Okay.
All right, so with that, we're all set to move on to the town manager's update.
All right, so I've got some good news to report on a couple fronts, particularly in the grant area, which is great. I have been able to tell you that Mark Craig I should have mentioned it when Mark was here, but he was able to receive a significant grant, a $205,000 grant from Brigham and Women's for the next 3 years to improve the Foxborough Van-Go transportation system by modernizing the operations, purchasing a second new van, and possibly offering a pilot program for a fixed route. The funds are dispersed through the Brigham and Women's Medical Center as part of their expansion of the MRI and CT imaging services. They also have, as part of this grant program, they did a sort of a joint application with the school department for mental illness, which looks to be something that they're considering right now as well. So this could be even more funds coming in the direction of the town based on that application, which was really well done, by the way. So I give good credit to Mark for that as well. Second thing is that Rob Vidone announced to me yesterday that he's happy to announce that the region has been awarded a $3.57 million grant under the competitive round Regional 911 Development Grant for FY22. Specifically, this grant was awarded to offset the regular annual assessment, which was $520,000, has now been reduced down to $300,000 per community, which is something we had planned on, but we never know until we actually receive the money. And so and also provided $1.5 million toward the debt service of the new facility. So it's a really good grant, a good hearty grant that the region received, and Foxborough will benefit as well. So pleased to announce that. And then I did reach out to a young lady by the name of Sarah LaBreche, who actually had picked up on an old cemetery that's located on Cross Street, and I do believe it's owned. We do think it's owned by DCR, or controlled by the state, and controlled by DCR. Representative Jay Barros and his staff are actually investigating that, and has spoken to the DCR, and they're looking into it as we speak. They said if it is their property, they will in fact take care of it. So it's something that sometimes things get lost in the shuffle, and this was an area that needs addressing. So I did reach out to her and sent her a nice long email explaining the situation, and followed up on that again today to let everybody know where we are with that. So
The Department of Conservation
and Recreation.
Okay.
Right. They're in the news a lot these days because of lifeguards and things of that nature. They're dealing with a lot of different issues right now. I did testify before the House and Senate Utilities Committee today on a bill that would allow Mansfield Light to actually service our Foxborough streetlights. Currently, we don't have, we have a private contractor that we use, but having the Mansfield Light do it, they would be able to handle things in a much more expeditious way, especially in emergency situations. They're really well set up to do that, but I can't legislatively because there is a law that restricts their ability to go over the border to provide that service. So this would actually alleviate that and actually help 22 other municipal light operations across the Commonwealth. So this is another important aspect of this bill that would really help everybody. The end of the fiscal year procedures are underway and now being worked on, and so we're trying to close things out as we speak. I'm working on the department head evaluations at this point, finishing those up. Hopefully have those done this week. I spoke with Congressman Auchincloss's office this afternoon, and he would like to come out to the district to see the location of the grant area that we're looking at for the $2 million grant, or earmark that he's actually trying to push through Congress. And I've asked the chair, Leah, as well as Mark, because I think she thought you were still the chair, so which is okay. But she's actually asked if we could both be there on the 8th at 2 o'clock. If you can't, that's okay too. But we know it's summertime, so a lot of people have different plans. But he also, I think, wants to visit possibly some of the down at the recreation center as well. Visit some of the camps and see some of the kids during the visit.
And that's an open invite.
Yes.
You know, for Seth.
Exactly.
And staff,
you
if you
yeah,
guys
as
want
well.
to come then too.
Yeah, if we do have more than two, we just gonna have to post it. That's all.
Well,
So
if it's a photo opportunity.
That's a photo op. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It wouldn't. It's not to exchange business.
Yeah,
So
no,
you're right.
there's no business, yeah.
There's no business. You're right. So you're right. So we don't have to do that.
July 8th?
July 8th at 2 p.m. And we'll let you know where the exact location's going to be at that point.
It's a dangerous location, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Dangerous
we want to be in a
location to
safe
go
spot when we don't want to get hurt out there. So I'm trying to reach out to. I had a conversation with the acting county administrator last week about the money coming from the county through the ARP money, and they are making progress, but we have no again firm plans at this point as to how that's going to be received by us. But as soon as that happens, it will come to us. They have to work through the state legislature a little bit to make some of those things happen. So we are working with them. We have an open dialogue, and things are progressing. So, and Hannah Simmons, our assessor, is announced her retirement. She's going to be retiring on August 20th of this year. We anticipated that action. She indicated that she was going to make that announcement. So we've actually already advertised for that position, and we're looking to fill it now. And we have several good candidates for consideration right now. So moving forward. they're
Is that
trying
one
to address
closed? I actually checked today and I didn't see that one out there.
I think it's already closed, yeah.
Closed,
It's
okay.
already closed. So we just didn't know the date that we could plug in there until she had checked with the retirement board. And I do believe that's it. Mike is on vacation this week, due back the end of this week. So I think that's the first time he said he's ever taken a 2-week vacation, and God bless him, I'm glad he did
Yeah,
it.
needed.
So he needed it, so. All right, that's it, Madam Chair.
All right, great. So we have a couple things listed here under Selectmen's Update. Anyone have anything else? The Foxborough Recreation Program kicked off this week. So they're doing a great job with kids, getting traffic in and out. So it's just me having one child up there. It's great for the kids to be able to go up there and kind of get back to some life as normal.
Normalcy.
So it's exciting.
It is.
Anything else, guys, before we move on to the ones listed? No? All right, so we've already talked about a couple of these. The first, the Boards and Committees Handbook, is literally just 2 handbooks that were put together. We have not looked at any of the meat within any of these handbooks, so I mentioned I have some thoughts for additions and changes to these handbooks, so I think they'll come back before us to actually look at the policy change you want to make within. But there's no policy change you see here tonight. Just know that it's coming, and this is a condensed version. We do want to get on that quick, though, we've just reappointed everyone. So if anyone...
It's a priority issue, so.
If anyone wants to join that subcommittee, I think we've already been kind of talking about that, and we're well on our way, but reach out to Christina or Bill if you have any thoughts. The next one is the electronic communication policy for boards and committees. So we talked about this last time, and we just have to approve this policy so that we can have the town issued emails, which again came up in a training that Bill, Mike, and I went, that we should really have town issued emails for public records requests and things like that, just from a risk and guidance perspective. So is there any other boards and committees that are getting emails, or at this time, is it only the Board of Selectmen? that
It's
this
just
is
the Board of
applicable
Selectmen,
to?
well, we will look at the possibility of doing others as well.
Like school committee and
School
planning?
committee, I think
come
school
to mind?
committee already does.
Committee has.
Oh, they do, okay.
Yeah, I
Do.
thought they-
There is a cost associated with having multiple email accounts, so.
Right. So we have to look at that,
Consider, yeah.
the
Yeah, in this
possibility.
day and age, 5 email addresses can't really cost too much.
Yeah.
Every student has an email address, so I've got to think
Yeah.
we're not paying by the
No,
email.
it's something it's something we'll consider, obviously, but I don't know how many people actually want it. That's the other question.
Well, I think that we need to have a policy, though, that, if you're on your own personal email, and gosh forbid that there's some kind of public records request, it does become more complicated. So
Yeah.
I think the directive from us should be for this board, you can forward it and such, and I don't know what it looks like and how easy it is to use. But I think from what we heard in the training, we should be doing this. And then I think if we do roll this out to other boards, I think that a board should be using this as a whole, if decided, not certain board members picking and choosing if they want to or don't want to. So it sounds like school committee is doing it, Board of Selectmen is, and then planning would talk about it, and if there's anyone else that feels passionately about it. Any questions, discussion about this policy before we get a motion to adopt it?
This is a revision to existing policy, so this was done I think about 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it was for
So-
employees, and now it's for boards and committees, right? So
Right.
we do have a motion for this one. Seth?
Motion to approve the electronic communication policy for all Foxborough boards and committees.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then the next one is the meals tax policy. So I think we've talked about this quite a bit since town meeting. There is some language that I think we need to tighten up. No one expected COVID-19 to happen, and we realized that there was some gray within this policy. It is a financial policy, not a bylaw of the town, so we can move to amend it right here at this table. I don't know if AdCom has seen it yet. I would be interested to have this circulated to them, probably. Seth, you're probably the closest to this one, not to put you on the spot. I don't know if you've even had a chance to digest it, if we want to take some time. And, I know Steph has been really involved in this one. She's not here tonight. I don't know if we've heard any feedback. This is one, we're not in a rush. It doesn't have to be done tonight. We do have some time. So this is one that I would probably recommend making sure Steph is here. I don't know if you had enough time to review it. And then just passing it along to the AdCom as well with the budget transfers.
Madam Chair, this one actually gets signed by the Board of Selectmen, the school committee, the AdCom, and the Board of
Okay.
Water Sewer Commissioners. So
Okay.
I think it's probably a good idea that if you're all okay with this, then it's good to have to circulate it to all those 4 boards.
Okay.
And if anybody needs any further information about it, we're happy to share that with them. But you're right, this just cleans up the issue that nobody expected was going to happen, and then sort of makes it easier. It also clarifies the use of money to try and put some priority on roads and sidewalks, since some of that money could be used for that, as well as along with Chapter 90 money and free cash. So the goal out of that policy was to try and at least fund $1 million a year for road and sidewalk improvements. And I did review that with both the DPW director and the town engineer, and they both concurred with that.
So it sounds like we have quite a bit of organizing to do to get all the boards on. It sounds like, if we bless that we don't need to approve it tonight, we can kind of bless it, nod it to go forward to the other groups.
Right.
See if there's any feedback that comes, and then each board can go ahead and approve it,
And
as I imagine.
we did review it with town council, and he was fine with it too, so.
Anyone have any comments about it as here tonight? I was okay with it.
Yeah, I think it tidies up a bunch of things, like Bill mentioned.
The one thing that I was looking for was, does it set a precedence, or does it prioritize OPEB over roads? I think it does, but the meals tax is lower than expected, as it was during this past year. Is it fund OPEB first, and anything, or is it open for?
It's a fair point, but I think the practice has been that OPEB gets funded first. That won't change the practice. This doesn't change the practice.
And
of doing
now we know we're obligated to do it. The
Right.
meals tax is just a mechanism to do what we need to do, or vote unanimously across our 3 boards, to revisit it for a particular year. God forbid there's ever another pandemic or something like
Right.
this.
Will happen every 100 years. So.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we should be off the hook.
Yeah, that's right.
So just for clarity though, but practice and a policy, so you're saying it's more of a common standard practice than it is policy, and we're not putting it into this policy either? Is that-
Well, I think that the policy is that we have to pay it.
Right.
So,
Then the question is, which comes first? It's a fair question that Seth raised, but I do think the practice has been, at least the priority was that the OPEB would be paid first, because that's the biggest liability first, and then long-term liability, that goes away, and then you still have the ability to, and anything that's left over can be used to help pay for the roads.
Right, because OPEB has a dollar figure.
yes,
Right.
Roads do not.
right.
Right.
Roads are the leftovers.
And not only that, but roads has a funding source that comes from the state every year anyways, about $620,000 to $650,000 a
What do
year.
you call Chapter 90?
Called Chapter
Yes.
90.
But do we want to clarify it? Just, if it's gray, that's what we're, here to do.
Well, we got the patient open right now.
Right,
That's right.
so,
Yeah.
just a thought, maybe before it goes to the other boards, is maybe just clarify that piece.
Well, it's
I
up
don't
to you.
feel
Up to you.
passionately about that, just because I feel like the way it's written, again, we're funding OPEB. The meals tax
$4 million.
is just a mechanism to fund it.
Or whatever the actuarial
Yeah, or
calculation
whatever the
is.
arc is, right.
Because it could be $1 million, it could be
Right.
something different than that.
And
Right.
especially as we get near the tail end, that will obviously,
And really, when you think about it, these are policies that are really goals. There's nothing, the policy is clear about the fact there's no legal obligation for us to do any of these, but it's a goal, established goal, to actually fund them both, if we can.
Yeah, and so to that point, Bill, that's the reason from where I sit, I would be comfortable voting on this tonight. And I think it's perfectly prudent to get input and thought from the other boards and committees. But their ability to update, change, for advisory committee, for example, has all the same abilities and power to recommend something different than what is built into this policy. So, but it's still prudent to get their thoughts and feedback, so.
all right, great. So I don't think we want to take a motion to approve the policy right now, because it still needs to go to all these other boards, and, we never know what the other 3 boards may come up with. So
No,
I think,
this is a draft.
I think we bless the draft to move on, and then when we're ready for all 4 boards to approve it, we take the motion at that time too.
So any action by the board will be that you agree with the draft as proposed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I get that sentiment, so I'll move
Okay.
on from there. All right.
All right, great. A couple quick action items between us and the end of the night. Seth?
Okay. Motion to approve 2 commercial parking permit renewals to expire June 30, 2022.
Second.
And just under discussion, we approved the rest before, and these were the 2 there's only 2 hanging ones, so obviously we have more than 2 permits, but everything seems to be in good order here. Any other discussion?
Yep, everything is in good order. These are just the remaining 2, as you said, Leah, and I had uploaded everything, or Christina uploaded everything to Board Docs, and we sent you an email last week. So this will bring our commercial parking lots to 32 total. And with these additional lots, $3,920 for these 2 lots with 560 spaces.
All right, great. So, I've had a motion, we discussed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on. Motion to approve the May 11, 2021 Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Motion to approve the May 25th, 2021 Board of Selectmen meeting minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? And the last, one thing I just actually forgot to mention during Selectmen's update, you all should have got the save the date for the October 13th. That would be the budget meeting where we kick off with the AdCom and the school committee.
Financial summit meeting? Yeah.
Financial summit meeting. So it's just to save the date at this point. I mean, it sounds far away, but really it's only 4 months out. And with summer and everything, it will creep up fast. So just wanted to get a date on everyone's radar, just to keep us honest and
Yeah.
something to work towards.
No, it's a good thing to do.
Yeah. All right, so with that,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.